Well, we have a special treat for all of you right now. As you can kind of see, we've got a computer on the bench here, but we don't have any car to talk to you about. That's because we're joined by the joys of technology here by Ryan Dunford from Team Losi Racing. Thanks for kind of working with us with a new approach to bring you guys a preview out there. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Gary. I'm glad I could be here. You know, I've got trusty machine here so I can talk to Gary, and got the new truck, the SCTE 2.0 here, and we're in front of the new office building here in Corona. We moved our product development group and got some history in the case here, so it's nice to be here.
So it's really cool that we're able to bring you guys this. I didn't have a chance to go out and visit with Ryan about this, but we have a new vehicle for you folks out there from Team Losi Racing. And we're here today with Ryan and the Team Losi Racing TEN-SCTE 2.0. Ryan, you have absolutely loved this platform, the TEN platform, and have taken it under your wing as really your signature platform. Can you kind of give us an overview on what has gone into this platform and this new version that we're seeing here today?
Well, basically a lot of time running them, a lot of time testing. We really wanted to just take something that was already pretty darn good, very durable, a great product, and make it into a TLR product. So we made some weight bias changes. We included all the stuff we thought the average racer might want, or even the expert level racer. But you know, we'll get into some of that as we go along here.
Well, and the four-wheel drive short course truck class has really been gaining popularity, and the original TEN-SCTE has been by far one of the most popular and really one of the most dominant trucks that we've had in some time. Now we have an evolution of the TEN-SCTE platform to the, first of all, a 2.0 status, and second of all, now it's flying under the banner of Team Losi Racing. As such, you know, where did you guys try to develop the original into, you know, something that not only appealed to the casual racer and the basher, but really that went after that hardcore racer crowd and really fits under the mold of Team Losi Racing?
Well, as you know, the original four-wheel drive short course truck came out. It was just meant to be something that was put out there. It would run great, but then, you know, everything evolves. And as we ran this truck, there was hop-ups asked for and different things asked for that people wanted to see. We really just kept fine-tuning things, and you know, basically what this truck is a culmination of that. So we've got the new weight bias, we've got all of the hop-ups on the car out of the box that you would already want, and it's a kit. The true racer always wants to build their car on their own, and that's what this product is.
Now, before we start talking about this new 2.0 version of the TEN-SCTE, let's again still kind of look back to the original truck, because that truck, again, has been such a dominant piece for so long. What were some of the things that you really wanted to maintain from the original truck and carry forward, and if anything, just refine or take it to that next level?
Well, probably the biggest thing that's made this class really evolve is taking a platform that's got a ton of power to it, but giving it durability. And I think that really helped the class evolve. That's something that the TEN-SCTE, the original one, helped, was that the car was so durable. You literally could put it down and run it and run it and run it, and it would just work great. This truck that definitely carries over. I mean, you've got more or less a similar front and rear clip. You know, you've got the same arms. We made some things even better, like we made the diffs even better. Which we've already released those new diff cases. We've adjusted the front and rear bumpers to make them a little stronger even again. We've just kept going and going, making it stronger, making it more durable, making it lighter, everything.
Well, and one of the things too, I mean, you talk about the durability. This truck has survived my driving, so it's got to be a tough truck.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Now, you boys have been working on this truck for a long time. Between yourself, Doug Nielsen, also known as Casper, a lot of you guys out there on the forums will know Casper out there, and Casey Peck have just really, again, been working to make this truck the best out there for the racers. In fact, I've seen, I think part of this truck showed up at the 2012 Short Course Nationals. I mean, how long have you guys really been working, you know, to develop what we can almost call the 1.0 now into this 2.0 platform?
Well, we've been working on this a long time. Obviously, we can't show our hand. I've probably had this, or a version of this chassis, this weight bias that we tested a lot. Oh, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 months now. You know, so it's been killing me. I can tell you that it's taken this long to come out, but good things are worth the wait.
And again, kind of talking about the durability that we've built on from the original one, again, mentioning the 2012 Short Course Nationals, you and I were both there, and we talked to one racer who basically would go into the hobby shop about once every 6 to 8 months and just buy a new truck, throw it on the track, and run it as it came out of the box. I mean, that's the platform that you already had to work with, so you really didn't have to reinvent the wheel as much as just refine it a little bit, is what it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, refining is what we do. That's what TLR is about. It's about getting to that next level. It's about refining things, making them better, pushing the envelope. And you know, that really is what we've done with this truck.
So what were some of the things that you wanted to do when the idea came around, all right, let's do the next variation of the TEN-SCTE? What did you want to have in a 2.0 version of the truck?
You know, I'd say the biggest thing, the two biggest things actually were, one, that it was a kit, because I came from an era where we built our cars. So that was huge to me. And the second really was the fact that it came with everything you wanted for the racer. I felt that if it was going to be a true TLR vehicle, then I needed to pull this out of the box and not need any other hop-ups for it. Put it together, throw it down, and go race it. Do you need hop-ups for the original truck? You don't need them. But, you know, it's nice to be able to adjust things like anti-squat and tow and, you know, other things like have smoother shocks and different things like that. This truck, it already has all that.
Well, and you've mentioned this too, one of the big differences between the original TEN-SCTE and even the Ready to Run is this is now a kit. I mean, it sounds like that's really one of the things that you focused on, and listened to the racers out there that were saying, yeah, the roller is nice, it saves me time, but like, for example, a lot of us who race, you and I, alike, you get a roller and the first thing you do is you take it apart to pull the grease out of the diffs so you can fill it with fluid. I mean, that's just one of the niceties that goes into this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is meant as something that somebody can build exactly the way they want it from the get-go. They can put the shock oils in they want, the diff oils in that they want. They don't have to take it apart to do that. It's just a matter of putting it together exactly the way that you want.
Now, one of the first things that really kind of surprised me when I saw pictures of the truck, mostly from the top down, was just it looked really narrow. Is it any narrower than the original, or is that just an optical illusion due to the side guards that are now on this truck?
Well, strangely enough, yeah, it is more narrow, but not at the same time. The old chassis was basically shallower on one side than the other, but then the other mudguard made up for that shallowness to make it look the same width on both sides. This truck, as you can see here, what we've tried to do is make it the same chassis right to left so that the flex characteristics are much more similar right to left, and you're not going to have that weight bias where, oh, it turns this way when you go one way and it turns like this when it goes the other way. But yeah, I mean, we've taken the design more similar to like the 22 mudguards, the 22 SCT mudguards, and really, you know, narrowed it up.
Well, and it's good that you mentioned the 22 SCT, because I was going to ask, the side guards, the Nerf guards, look almost identical to the 22 SCTs. Are they the same?
No, they're not the same, but we did want to make them, you know, have characteristics that were similar so that people really knew that this truck was moving into the TLR side of things.
Okay. Now, one of the things too that you guys introduced, several months after the original came out, was what was called a TFT, or a Tune Flex Technology chassis. Is this chassis here a TFT chassis, or is it just a, I don't want to call it a plain chassis, but a more conventional style chassis?
This chassis is a full milled TFT based chassis. It is a 70-75 chassis now. Basically, this is meant to put this on the track and go. You shouldn't need an aftermarket chassis, nothing. This is the best we got.
Well, and it looks like too, I mean, again, you guys have spent a lot of time working on the chassis, and one of the things you've really done is work on weight redistribution. You talk about having the chassis equal left to right to avoid tweak. Also, to avoid tweak is just having things balanced out more, not just side to side, but also front to rear.
Absolutely. I mean, we worked on a lot of things as far as where the weight goes in this chassis. God, I probably spent 100 battery packs between myself, some of the team guys, Doug, you know, moving the batteries 2 millimeters at a time to get the battery in the right spot, trying different batteries, trying long motors, short motors, to make sure that when this truck was released, you could put whatever you needed into it, get the right balance out of the truck, get more steering, more traction, be able to push this truck harder, and just have better, faster, more consistent lap times.
Well, and it looks like, too, that the battery is more centrally located. Is that the case, or is that, again, just more of an optical illusion?
We spend a lot of time working, one, to get the battery onto the actual chassis, so it's not raised up like the existing truck is today. We also work to get it in line or inboard as much as possible. And then the other thing we did is spend a lot of time just fiddling with where it was. Back, forward, speed control in the back, speed control in the front. You know, where could we get it? The one benefit of the short course chassis these days is they're so long that we can play with all of that and spend time fine-tuning it.
Now, one of the things, too, that I noticed, and again, kind of sticking with the battery, is just the location, the way it's mounted. You mentioned it yourself. It's now mounted right to the chassis, where before it was up on a plastic tray that also had a mount for the speed controller. First of all, you're lowering the center of gravity, but I mean, were there some initial things of why you put it up on that molded tray initially to protect the battery that isn't as necessary now? Or I guess, why have one versus the other? And one of the things, too, that you might want to even hit on that you mentioned to me quite some time ago is chassis flex with that tray.
One of the things that you know, the old truck did have was the tray design. The tray design was really carried over from the 8 2.0, and we were trying to make this kind of fit into that category. One thing that we did with this car is start with a blank slate. We took the front and rear clip and we made the center however we wanted. As you'll see, most of the parts in the center of this car are new. We've got a new battery mounting. We've got an ESC that mounts directly to the chassis. There's a brand new chassis. We've got a new tunnel top. We've got a new servo mount. We've got new torque rods. I mean, we basically redid the entire center of the car. We lowered the battery to lower the CG. We brought it inboard more so that we would get faster directional change. We put the speed control on the chassis because it didn't need to be up off the chassis. A lot of us cut the back of the tray off anyway, mainly so that you wouldn't have essentially a chassis stiffener going down one side. So what this has enabled us to do is, by getting rid of that tray was so stiff that it was almost a chassis stiffener down one side. Now the car flexes very similar right to left, forward to back.
Well, and that's one thing, too. I mean, just in a way, it's almost like you're eliminating tweak right out of the box with it, where before the truck could almost drive like it was tweaked just because of the different torsional flex that you would get left versus right.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can get rid of things that stiffen the chassis, you're going to fix the tweak, you're going to make the car easier to set up in the long run.
Now, speaking of flex, and I think you hit on it a little bit there, it also looks like there's new chassis stiffeners on each end of the truck, too.
Yeah, we did go to a torque rod setup, front and rear, because what we found is that with the short course trucks, this enabled us to get the chassis stiffness front to rear good, but enables the truck to twist around to be able to get the bite in the turns. The other thing about these is it's the same front and rear. And we also brought them in much closer to the differential, so that essentially you've got a stiffener more or less through the center of the chassis.
Now, another thing, too, is, you know, we talk about the chassis a lot and how it affects the handling, but really one of the biggest areas that makes a difference one way or the other is just the suspension setup on the truck. Are there, and it sounds like, and you've hinted on this a little bit, the arms are the same. Are there any real suspension geometry changes to this truck versus the original?
Yeah, actually we did some suspension work to this truck, not only with including some of the hop-up parts, but there are new front and rear towers on the vehicle, which enabled you to get some new shock locations, definitely some new camber link locations, which we felt we desperately needed, especially with the weight change. You've still got all the old original ones, but now you've got some new ones that you can play around with. You also get the hard anodized shock bodies, you get the bleeder caps, you get the metal adjuster rings, you get the tie-nye shock shafts, the tie-nye hinge pins, and you also get the front and rear adjustable aluminum pivot supports. They all come with the car.
Those were all option parts before, and they're included. That's really dialed.
They're all included. Everything you need to race this car is included.
Now, one of the things too, and you talked about this just a little bit earlier, was the HD diff cases, and that comes standard with this truck, right?
This truck did get the full TLR treatment as far as the diffs go. It got the new HD diff cases, which have the molded inserts that are molded into the plastic. It's got the new gasket material that's thicker and a better material. It's also got better tolerances so that you don't need the little shims between, you know, the smaller planetary gears and the pin block. And then on top of that, we did also include the HD lightened out drives throughout the car. So you get that all three diffs, front, center, and rear.
And I noticed that, and the one thing that I noticed about that was not just that they were lighter than the originals, they also seemed, if anything, to reduce wear and tear a little bit more than what the originals were too.
Yeah, these diffs, they don't leak at all, they spin freer, there's less wobbling, which was created in the past by that insert not being part of the case, which put more wear and tear on the gears, it put more wear and tear on the diff, it allowed it to pull sideways and allow some oil to leak. You don't have all those things with the new diffs. They stay sealed. I've got 200 or 300 packs on one of the new diffs and they're fantastic.
Wait, 200 or 300?
Absolutely, and I open it up probably every 50 or so runs to see the oil that's in it, and it's still as full as it can be. I'm just doing a little torture testing.
That's amazing. I think you guys out there are going to love that. Now, one of the things too on the TEN-SCTE 2.0 is an all-new motor mount, or at least it looks like it's all new. Is it different from the original, or is it the same?
It's not really a new motor mount per se. What we do have is a new top plate. That's a two-piece top plate, and the reason we made it two pieces is so that this tunnel portion, you remove these 4 screws, the tunnel portion comes off separately than the base, so that you have a system whereby you're not always having to solder and unsolder the wires if you want to remove the center diff, or if you want to remove the electronics for cleaning, you just pull the top 4 screws out and go. The one thing you will notice now is that here, the motor adapter, that is now 7075. So you can put this screw in, crank it down, and that is something we did listen to the customers there. That's something they asked for. They wanted that to be a little bit more durable aluminum.
Now, we talked about this when we discussed the TEN-SCTE, the original one, and that is the two different philosophies regarding motor types for four-wheel drive short course trucks. You've got the 540 size 4-pole, super high zoot motors, and then you have a longer 550 that tends to be a little bit more durable. What should I use and outfit my truck with?
Actually, I've spent a lot of time running both of them. There's two basic sizes, a 540 size these days, and this, which you see, is a 550. There are companies that make a 540 size. One of the big things about the 540, and the reason they're able to be shorter, is that they're a 4-pole motor. So they have a lot more torque. You're able to run them kind of natural instead of where these, a lot of people are gearing them down and then putting boost into them. Both of them get about the same heat. Both of them produce fairly similar power. But what you're going to start to see now is some companies come out with the longer 4-pole motors, so now you have an option. There's a lot of trucks that are coming out that are a little heavier, and they need more motor to push them around. But that's just a benefit, because that you can still put in this truck and still have a good time. But both motors fit in this truck. This chassis was tested with both. Typically with the 540 motor, we liked the battery in the center position. With the 550 motor, put a little bit more weight to the back, we like the motor in the forward position, or the battery in the forward position.
Now, one of the things too with the TEN-SCTE, the original, and has been kind of brought across a few other vehicles, is the wheel offset and hub offset and everything like that. I'm hoping I can still use my TEN-SCTE wheels with the TEN-SCTE 2.0.
What we've done is, because all the arms and the clips are very similar, actually the wheel is identical. The wheel is kind of, it's a trademark of this car. People know this car by this wheel, but obviously there's lots of aftermarket wheels offered out there today. You can still use those.
Now, so it comes with 2 sets of full wheels then? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this car does come with 8 wheels now. Since we're not including tires, we still want to provide the value there, of course, because at TLR we are about value, but we're about performance.
Do I get a body with the truck too? And if so, which one is it?
Yeah, Gary, this car does come with the new TLR high performance body. it's the body that more or less comes with the 22 SCT. So we're using the same body on both vehicles now.
Now, is it the pre-cut version, or I would still have to cut it out if I would want to do so?
We left it as the full version because, especially in four-wheel drive, the trucks are a little heavier. You don't have to cut them out as much, and typically when you don't cut them out, they last a little longer, so we just included it that way. If you want it cut out, you can just easily take a Dremel or X-Acto knife and get that cut out.
Any tuning or setup tips for someone that would want to go out and pick one of these up and start racing? And setup-wise, does much cross over from the original?
Actually, setup's pretty similar. The car does come with all the things to make the setup that many of us are running right out of the box. We are also working on an SCTE 2.0 setup guide that we're going to put out on our blog, and you should be good to go.
Now, I'm assuming, guys out there are going to ask, and I've got to ask you because of it, is there going to be any conversion kit to convert an original TEN-SCTE to 2.0 status, or is it just too cost prohibitive and they're better off buying the new truck?
Yeah, Gary, you bring up a point that's out there, and an upgrade kit. A lot of the vehicles have been out there for a long time today, but you can upgrade them. We do sell all the parts separately, obviously, but today there's currently no plans for an upgrade kit, because it's like, well, what would you include? Do you just include the center stuff? Do you include the center stuff plus all the other stuff that's changed? I mean, if we included everything that was different in this car than the stock one, it'd be in almost the entire car. So today, you know, there's no plans for it. That way folks can pick and choose if they want to upgrade certain things or if they don't.
So when can I get my hands on one of these? Because I mean, it really looks like this is the next evolution of four-wheel drive short course truck, and really this is the vehicle that I'm going to want to have.
Gary, the release date of this right now is set up for pretty much the beginning of March. By the time you folks are seeing this video, it will already be on its way here. You know, obviously we always look to expedite it, but it's already on the water, already making its way here.
Well, that's awesome to hear. I know you guys out there probably can't wait to get your hands on one of these trucks. I know that I can't either. And this looks like you guys have really outdone yourself this time around. You guys really need to be proud of yourselves.
Well, yeah, thank you for that, Gary. You know, we at TLR, we do pride ourselves in the products that we put out. And this is something that, being under the TLR name, we wanted to make sure it was the best product out there that anybody could buy and race four-wheel drive short course with. It's strong, it's durable, it's lighter, it's got everything. I mean, this car is awesome, and it's going to win a lot of races, I think.
Very cool. Well, again, Ryan, thank you very much for joining us via remote here. Again, if you guys do have any comments or questions about anything that you've seen here today or anything RC in general, please feel free to email us at editors@horizonrc.com. Don't forget, too, to like and subscribe to all of our videos on here, too. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you very soon.